My name is Alyssa Wustrel. I'm the Executive Director with IAYT. Welcome everyone to our SYTAR 22 preview. And this is an opportunity for us to have engagement around what we're offering at 22, hear from you if questions about our programming, about any of the logistics, comments, where this is meant to be a casual conversation, but we will have some presentation material to get us started. So what I'd like to start with is for our staff to have an opportunity to say hello, and then our board members who have joined us. So you first heard from Kelly. Many of you know Kelly. If you can start us off, Kelly, with your name and what you do and where you're located, and then your name and what you do.
Thank you, Alyssa. Hi, I'm Kelly Froyo. I am IAYT's membership coordinator. I know many of you, and it's always nice to meet other people. And I'm in Tacoma, Washington. Happy to be here.
Janelle.
Sure. Thanks, Alyssa. Hi, everybody. I'm Janelle Aberly. I lead the tech team here at IAYT, and I'm in North Bend, rainy North Bend, Washington.
And another Washingtonian, Beth.
Hi, I'm Beth Whitney Teeple, and I'm just down a little bit farther south from Kelly and Janelle. I'm the Chief of Staff at IAYT in Steilacoom, Washington.
Lori.
And I am Laurie Highland Robertson. I'm on the opposite coast, just outside Baltimore, where it is also raining today. It's so good to see so many familiar faces and so many new faces.
And oops, Lori, do you want to tell everyone what you do with IAYT?
Oh, right. I am IAYT's editorial director. I'm the editor-in-chief of the magazine Yoga Therapy Today and the managing editor of the journal.
And Nancy Sinton.
Hi, I'm Nancy. I'm the IAYT certification manager, which includes approved professional development, all of our professional development activities. And I'm coming to you from Sarasota, Florida, where it's sunny and 90 degrees.
Wow.
Lucky you. Very good. All right, thanks so much. And if we could just have our board members who are present today say hello. Oh, no, wait, Deborah. I'm sorry, you go. We still have another very important staffer here, our conference planner, among finance director, among many other hats. Deborah, please.
I'm Deborah Krajewski, and I'm in the Villages in Florida at the moment. It is, like Nancy said, sunny and 90 degrees, and I am the director of finance, the conferences, and part membership and office manager. So a little bit of everything.
Told you, she wears a lot of hats. And then our board members who are present, I see several. Sue, would you like to start us off?
Hi, I'm Sue Tebb. It's always great to see everybody. And I'm in the middle of the country in St. Louis, and it's cold and rainy here also. So, yes.
Molly, I think I saw Molly. There she is.
Hello, everybody. Thanks so much for being with us today. This is great. We've never done anything like this before. I love it. I am in Duluth, Minnesota, and it is about 50 degrees and super sunny. So we're happy about that here.
Nice. Okay. And then I think I saw Neil Pearson.
Yeah, hi, I'm Neil Pearson, and I'm in Canada on usually the wet Vancouver Island, but it's a sunny day here.
Beautiful. Are there any other board members present that I am not seeing? Please chime in if so. Okay. Okay, great. Could we also use our chat function once again? Could you put into the chat a yes if you've attended SYTAR before with IAYT, or no? We don't need to tell how many times. I know there's a lot of people who have been to many SYTARs. Just a yes or no. Just take a quick look. Okay. Okay, great. So like Molly said, we haven't done a SYTAR preview before, and we thought that given all the variables that we're all dealing with in our lives around the changed world that we're in, predicated by not only the pandemic, but just the shifting landscape of variability with global affairs that is affecting us all in so many ways. Just to kind of have some grounding around what the last few years has looked like for IAYT with our membership and this annual membership conference, right? And what we're trying to do this year to kind of unify and have yet again an unprecedented approach to gathering for this important conference. So the last in-person conference that IAYT had was in 2019. And historically, this has been a super important and still is annual event for membership to gather and learn and commune and learn from each other, learn from teachers that may already be familiar with or become familiar with new teachers, meet experts, lots of opportunity for increasing your wisdom around your practice and in just engaging with your peers. And so 2019 was the last time that this opportunity to gather together occurred, because in 2020, at the start of the pandemic, we canceled this event and moved the hotel contract forward. So that was in 2020. In 2021, last year, we did an all virtual. And this was a first for IAYT. And like many other membership associations, we use the opportunity to try and cast a wider net, include more people, increase inclusivity and reach. And we were successful with that, and had a well-attended and very well engaged all virtual conference. So that was a new experience, right? And this year we're doing a version of both, because we wanted to maintain the inclusivity of what's available through virtual, especially for our international attendees. So we have our virtual, for those of you who have checked out the registration page or have already registered, you know that we're offering virtual programming. And we're also, of course, doing our in-person outside of Chicago at a wonderful hotel with lots of excellent programming for our in-person. There's going to be some interface between both, right? Both virtual and in-person. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to turn it over to Lori Highland Robertson. She's going to do a screen share and take us through the programming, the website where you find the registration, and kind of give us a quick little overview of how we're going to do both of those things at once, right? How are we going to knit together our virtual with our in-person in a way that, is available to us given our constraints, but also hopefully we'll have a unique, again, unprecedented event and an outcome. So Lori, if I could turn it over to you and we can go through the schedule.
All right, thank you. Yeah, so unprecedented in a different way this time around. So we're rolling with it, and I will give just a brief overview of the conference website, which will orient us to the conference as a whole, and then we can open it back up so that you can ask more specific questions if you have them after we go through this really brief tour. So on the home page for the conference, we packed a ton of information into the conference website. And on the homepage, which you can get to from IAYT.org's homepage by clicking on conferences, or you can go here directly by typing IAYT.org/SYTAR 2022. So on this page is an overview of everything that you need related to the conference, including that helpful countdown timer. There are a few video sneak peeks. There's Molly, who's joining us on the call today, telling us why it's such a good idea to come to SYTAR. Maybe we'll have a chance to view that in a little bit. And there are a couple of other videos sprinkled throughout here, and I definitely encourage you to check those out for a sneak peek of some of the speakers if you haven't already had a chance to do that. Also on this homepage is a link to visit the forum, the community forum that you can post in once you've registered for the conference. It's a great place to connect with friends old and new and to get a room share or a ride share, things like that. That's right on the home page. One of the other pages I want to make sure we take a look at is, let me move my controls away, the schedule homepage. And this is where you really start to dive into what is included with the virtual conference and what's included with the in-person conference. And we can go into more specific questions about these different categories in just a few minutes. But on this schedule page, you'll see a lot of these bars are expandable and you can get more detail. Kelly might talk a little bit about the meeting of schools, which is a separate meeting that we hold concurrent with SYTAR every year. And that is for the directors of member schools, program directors of accredited programs and faculty at member schools. But you'll see a number of these accordions that you can open up and get more detail about each session. So we have a number that you can choose from in a couple of different categories, including workshops, which kicks things off on Thursday afternoon. And the beauty of the virtual hybrid approach is that, so the workshops are in person only, and you'll see that notation here, but a lot of the other content is going to be virtual for everyone, available in person or virtually, if that makes sense. So you will see that even though most of the workshops are in person only, we do have a virtual workshop, and a version of that virtual workshop will be recorded. So it won't include breakout rooms and things like that, but it will be recorded. And so everyone can access it at their leisure after the conference or during the conference. Another area I want to make sure to point out is the concurrent tracks, which is another one of these expansions. So one of the concurrent tracks on each of Friday and Saturday afternoon will be live streamed. All of them will be recorded though, so we can all watch whichever ones we weren't able to attend in real time. So that is really exciting for me for this year. I hope it is for you as well. We also have, if you continue down the schedule, bonuses that some of Yoga Therapy's wisdom keepers have submitted for us. And there are videos and articles and practices that you can try with these revered teachers. All of that content will be available on the first day of the conference for all attendees, whether you're doing the conference virtually or in person. And the final page I really want to highlight in this brief tour is the registration page. And on this page, you've got, again, details about what's included in the in-person and virtual versions of the conference. You have information about tuition discounts. So if you are in one of these categories, either a person of the global majority or someone who lives in a country that's identified as low or lower middle income by the World Bank, we've got the list here. If one of those applies to you and the discount is helpful, you can grab those codes right here. We've also got information about continuing education credits on this registration page. So all of that detail is here. You get 22 contact hours for either the in-person or the virtual conference. So that is a great benefit.
Stephanie?
On the home page, let's see. So the homepage, of course, links to all of these other pages. You'll find, for example, the hotel page, which gives information about the venue, dining, and other information about the resort, which includes plenty of really lovely outdoor spaces where we can gather together. There's an orchard we can walk in. I'm really looking forward to that. This page gives you details like the fact that Chicago's O'Hare Airport is the closest to the hotel. There is also a page with COVID specific information. You'll find our registration policies related to COVID, as well as links to the most current information from the resort itself on that page. So I think I'm going to stop there. because I have not been able to see the chat while I was sharing, and we can go into questions. And
Lori, someone's asking about the cost. Hi, it's Beth. Someone's asking about the cost for online. If you can just repeat that, please.
Yeah, I didn't actually call it out, so that is a good one. So the virtual conference is $395, and correct me if I'm wrong, but those discounts are applicable. The people of the global majority and World Bank country discounts are applicable to that virtual rate as well.
Deborah is nodding her head. Yes.
So yeah, that's a good sign. Okay. So Justine is asking in the chat, do people receive, is that professional development credit, PD credit, as a virtual participant? Yes, so both categories of participant get that continuing education credit.
Anybody that has any questions, they do go ahead and put them in the chat, and we'll be pass them around and get to them.
And as Nancy has noted in the chat, that the recordings are going to be available for a full year. So you probably will end up with far more than 22 hours of content under your belt.
There's a question about partial registrations. Right now, there are no partial registrations. There's just the full thing. And then the COVID policies. Lori, you want to talk about the COVID policies as a little more detail?
So we've linked on that COVID page to the hotel's most current information, because of course it is a fluid situation. So we will be sure that I would suggest to check there, because that's going to be the most current information.
And Carla's asking maybe a clarification about the discounts, both for World Bank countries, people of global majority, and also, of course, the early bird discount. Maybe you could just repeat those.
So if you are a person of the global majority, or someone from a country identified by the World Bank as low or lower middle income, and there is a list of those countries, a link to a list of those countries on that registration page. It's also on the homepage, I think, of the conference homepage. So if you are one of those, in one of those categories, you are able to take advantage of I believe it's a 50% discount. It's a substantial discount off of the registration fee.
And the early bird ends May 16th. It has been extended, so it goes on until May 16th.
And Alyssa, I don't know if you want to speak to, the pricing, the decision around pricing the conference was, of course, a pretty involved one. So I don't know if you want to maybe speak to that at all. There is a question in the chat about that.
Honestly, the challenging part for a small membership association with all the variables of COVID and carrying forward the weight of a hotel contract that we have to actualize. Otherwise, let's say we want to do 100% virtual this year, right? And sort of do a similar concept as to what we did last year. Not ideal, because we also want to engage in person, but let's say we wanted to have the option to do that. We didn't have the option this year because we inherited the contract from years past, from all the variability of the cancellation and pushing it forward and so on and so forth. So given that 100% meeting in person is the first piece of the puzzle. Second piece of the puzzle is how to continue to have inclusivity with a virtual option, right? So last year we did something that was different. I mean, as we noted, it was unprecedented to have any kind of virtual option with IAYT. That hasn't been something we've done in the past, but we did have a different pricing structure. We called it a COVID price, right? We said This is a one-time price. This is what we can offer because we didn't carry the weight of a hotel contract with the food and beverage costs, with the room night commitment, with getting our staff there and our board there. I mean, there's a lot of costs that are inherent, obviously, in a 3-day conference. Plus. So it's the checks and balances of those realities that unfortunately, the churn and coming out with our prices, which are similar, by the way, to SYTAR's past. Our pricing hasn't changed from SYTAR's past, but I know that it's different than last year, and we recognize the challenge, picking between virtual and in person, and the prices or the costs that are inherent in either choice for our members. And that's the discount policy for people of the global majority and the World Bank countries is very purposeful. We started that just last year. The World Bank country was in that discount was at play in previous years, and we added the people of the global majority. We have a commitment to diversity, to inclusivity, and so these are kind of, as I said, the checks and balances that we're trying to consider as we go forward. So I hope that's helpful. I know it's not the perfect answer. It doesn't provide for everyone's needs, and I wish that we could have a full sliding scale and so on. With the weight of what we've inherited with this particular contract and this hotel, this is just how we have to do it this year. Other questions that come through?
Nancy, maybe you can talk some more about professional development CE credits in general, because there are several questions about that, and you can just give some more details. There's Nancy answering, but maybe you can, for people who can see the chat, go ahead.
Yes, so there's two separate things. You're either in person or you're online. And for those that are online, you do not have to be there the entire time. It's virtual, and everything's going to be recorded and packaged up so that you can watch it later at your leisure. But you will get the same 22 CE credits for online or whether you're there in person, because as I think Lori mentioned, there's going to be more than 22 hours of content available both virtually and in person.
I wonder if Lori or Deborah can talk a little bit about the extra stuff like the exhibitors and the reception. These would of course be only, sadly, for in-person people, but for those people who are considering coming in person. Deborah, can you speak a few minutes about that?
Yes, and I saw one other question in, and the early bird discount is $100. If you sign in to your membership, it's another $100. It starts at $6.95, comes down for early bird to $5.95. Membership brings it down to $4.95. Just so you understand how the pricing goes. And so May 17th, the price will go up to $5.95. So the early bird goes off. We have had Abby Geyer working to get exhibitors and sponsors for the in-person part of the conference. And she has been working very hard to provide exhibitors for you to see. We have right now about 17, I believe, that will be coming, and she still has a couple more that she's working with. So if you know someone who wants to, please contact me. I'll forward you on to to Abby. We will have on Thursday evening after our opening for you to go out and to go among the exhibitors. We will have some refreshments for you, and around 8 o'clock we will have a book signing. Ray Greenberg is going to have our bookstore again this year, and it's going to be right at the beginning of the exhibit hall area. If people have seen in a lot of hotels, they have the glass area for the bridal information. Well, he's going to have his own room with the glass walls and shelves, so he can really display books and everything really well. And right outside of his door, we're going to have the table set up for the authors. And if you have some books that you want to see, just put it in the chat and we'll see if Ray has those available. Let's see, book signing. And on Friday evening at 7:30, we have our special interests, which are listed, listed in the schedule. The certification committee, the accreditation committee. We have Satbir Khalsa, who's going to talk about yoga research. We have Nicole, who's going to talk, she has doTERRA. She's one of our gold sponsors this year. She's really puts on a nice exhibit. And the evenings, we have our up and comers, I believe. And Beth, is there anyone else that I'm missing on the special interest? I think that, who did I miss?
Nancy's also one for certification. Yeah.
No,
I
you mentioned the certification. Yeah, we're going to have
did.
two that I'm associated with. The certification and APD team, approved professional development, are going to be there available for you to ask any questions related to certification or professional development. And also, I'm a representative from IAYT, so the Society for Integrative Oncology, their yoga special interest group. So we're kind of having a reciprocal with this organization. We'll have representation at their conference and they'll have representation at ours. So if you're interested in integrative oncology, please come to that special interest group and we'll fill you in on what that's all about.
One other special thing that we haven't had in the past is I have 2 rooms available that you can go in and do, that are quiet rooms, so that you can do your own practice. You can go in and do a little meditation, just go and relax and rest. So we will have those rooms available, which we haven't had before. I think that's about all for me, unless someone came through with a question that I didn't see.
So Paula has asked in the chat, she's super ambitious and wants to know, can we earn more than 22 CEs for attending online virtually? And I'm gonna say, Nancy's gonna say no, but also because you don't need more than that, right? Do you wanna speak to that?
That's what I was going to say. No, the answer is no. 22 CEs is really, you need 24 for your recertification, and 2 of those are required to be our ethics and scope of practice trainings. So the what's left is 22. So we give that as the maximum you can earn, even if you watch more than 22, but you've earned your CE requirements for recertification.
Now, Molly had mentioned in the chat, and Nancy responded that many of the in-person offerings are going to be offered for a virtual audience as well. Would it be helpful for me to do a screen share again and we can go through that list a little bit? Because I know we try to pack a lot into this schedule and it can be a little bit confusing if you're trying to figure out what's what. So I can do that if you like. Or not. If there's a specific session that you had a question about, we can talk about that too. And then I saw that someone had asked, what's the ideal day to arrive? And I wondered if because we do have so many folks who have attended the conference previously who are here, I wonder if it might be nice to hear from them what their perspective is. Do you think it's better to come in Wednesday evening, or, I mean, partly it depends, of course, on where you're coming from and how easy it is to get a flight into Chicago.
I answered, this is Beth, and I answered Francesca and said, you know, she and I are both having the same come from someplace to get to Chicago surprise that you don't get there that quickly. It's really interesting how long it does take to get there. But the meeting of schools, of course, will be going on Wednesday. And so there'll be people there and you'll be among friends. And as Lori has pointed out, there's some beautiful grounds and stuff. So, you know, if you have the option to come in on Wednesday, it'll be great to have the time to just be with you. And, you know, so we certainly invite you to do that.
And then Saturday evening, you are not going to want to miss the banquet. So I would say, you know, plan to be there Saturday night for sure.
Yeah, and Jeanette is saying the same thing. I enjoy coming in the night before to give myself the opportunity to land and settle before immersing into the conference. And Molly, yeah, Melissa has a good idea for travelers. Get your traveler's insurance, or things may change. Flights considering uptick with flight crews. And then there's the jet lag effect, right? Is the hotel providing decent vegan dining options? Deborah, maybe you can talk about some of the dining options in terms of food.
They do have vegan options. The chef, they have their own garden. And so they bring in their vegetables and things from their own garden. They also have their own beehives. And so they bring in their honey. I haven't gotten the vegetarian and vegan options yet for the menu, but there will be some on the banquet for that Saturday evening. But we haven't discussed the options yet, but he does always have those options on the menu.
And I'm with you, Deborah. There are a couple of vegans on the staff, so we're making sure that we're looked after. And Deborah always does a really good job of covering as many different dietary considerations as she can. And there's a Whole Foods. Is that true that we'll be able to get some of our own provisions?
That's what I was going to just say. There is a shuttle that you can take that anything is in with a 5-mile radius. The shuttle will take you, and there is a Whole Foods, and you do have a refrigerator in your room. There's a Starbucks on site. There are 2 other restaurants, and then there is a list that is on the hotel site and on our site of the restrooms that are in that 5-mile radius. The problem, I mean, I picked this hotel 2 years ago or 3 years ago when there was a lot more restaurants and a lot more shopping. There was a fresh market. There was a lot of different things, but COVID has shut a lot of them down. So it's not quite as much as it was in the past, but it is a lovely area. There's hiking trails, and you can, even if you have the time, you can go horseback riding. So it is lovely, and hopefully it accommodates what everybody wishes.
And yes, I'm with the gluten-free person here. So yes, there's accommodations for that as well. Thank you for paying attention to that. And one thing that comes to mind is, I know there's a place, and I'm not, Lori or Deborah can talk about it, where you can, if you're interested in rooming with someone, there's a message board. Deborah or Lori, can you speak to that?
Lori said something about it just a few minutes ago.
Yeah, there's a link. It's called the Community Forum, and there's a button to visit it right on the conference homepage. So IAYT.org/SYTAR 2022 will take you right to that conference homepage, and there's a button to visit the Community Forum. And it won't let you in. You do have to register first. But then once you're registered for the conference, you'll be able to get in there and find a ride or a room or anything like that.
Allison, you're going to talk about Allison? Give her.
Yes. So Allison said she has to leave on Friday evening. But the beauty of this format is that you will be able to go back and pick up that additional content because you'll get it in recorded form. We're going to have those posted up just as soon as possible after the conference. Last year, it was almost immediate. I don't know if we are going to be able to pull that off again this year, but it'll be very soon after the conference. That Janelle's saying, yes, we can. So it'll be very soon after the conference that you'll have access to all of that additional content.
Well, I just want to add that I'm just loving seeing faces that I know names and get to talk to people. I see Melissa, who I know and talk to on email occasionally, but haven't seen your face, and I'm excited. I'm going to see you in person. And there's Jeffrey that I know somewhat, and I'll look forward to seeing him. Neil, always good to see you. It's just great to see different faces. Kathy Lilly, you're in there somewhere. I can't even find you on my screen, but I know you're there somewhere. and other people. I think Patricia lives close to me. Patricia Zukas, I think you live someplace in our area. Yep, yep. So it's just going to be a lot of fun to get a chance to see you all in person. I was among the hesitant. I was the one. I wasn't not ready to travel, and actually loved our virtual experience last year. So it's just, but as I see you and have tested the waters a little bit, I've made one small trip and survived. So I'm looking forward to really getting a chance to see so many people in person again and also on screen. So. Alyssa, you want anything else? Anybody got any other questions?
So Justine has asked just for clarification, do the online participants receive all the recordings too, or just some of the recordings? So yeah, everything that's recorded, the virtual participants will receive as well.
Well, I think we've had a fruitful discussion, and if anybody has any additional questions, we would love to hear them. We also know it's a Friday afternoon everywhere, unless it's Saturday morning. I don't think we have any of those yet with us, but so we do have one final thing to do, and that is to announce the winner of the drawing. And I think
there's one other question. They're asking if Thursday workshops are recorded, and only the virtual one. And they will not record the breakouts for that, but the other workshops will not be recorded.
Okay. All right.
The good news. So since as all of you have registered and RSVP'd to come to this SYTAR preview open house today, one of you, possibly here, possibly not, has won a free SYTAR registration. And I am super excited to get to announce that our winner is Stella Balaban. And I don't think Stella's here, but I hope Stella will watch the recording and get the good news. Stella, we really hope to see you in person, or join us online if that works better for you. We're very excited for you.
Yay.
We needed a drum roll on that.
That's right.
Everybody do your little reaction button.
Yeah.
So if there are no other questions, I would love to share my screen one more time and just play this really sweet video from Molly that really brings it home as to why you should really consider coming to SYTAR if you haven't before, and why you should be extra excited to come this year if you are a longtime participant.
Lori can't hear it.
Lori, when you do the screen share, don't forget to click share sound.
Okay, see, this is why I was afraid to do this. So I need to.
If you just stop this share and then reshare again.
Did you fix it for me?
Might have to
But
refresh
as you, there you go.
Oh, I see it.
and then refresh the page.
Got it.
Good to have so many experts online.
I know. Oh no, it's asking me to install a new device. So maybe Janelle, can you do that?
Sorry, I don't have it queued up. Does anybody have it queued up handy?
Worst case scenario, you can always go to IAYT.org/SYTAR2022 and find the little video image shows Molly.
Live.
Let's do that.
Okay. I will say that one of the things, I have been going to SYTAR for many years now, and I remember my first time arriving there, it was in Boston years ago. And I just felt like I had found a community that was going to be able to see me, and that I could grow into the community and the community could grow with me. And it was a place where I found friends and teachers and just lifelong connection. And so that has been really my motivator for volunteering for many years now and being part of IYT, because I really believed in the people and in the mission. And so I think SYTAR was an incredible place for me, because it was a place where I really started to come into my work as a yoga therapist, and gave me a lot of heart. So that's basically what the video says. So please join us, even if you're new to the work, or if you've been around for a long time. You'll make great friends and great connections.
Thank you, Molly.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Alyssa, you want to close it out?
I would just ask if there's anyone else that wants to make a comment about previous SYTARs or your experience you just want to share. And if not, just come on to audio if you want to. No
I think
pressure.
Melissa's talking. Go ahead.
Hi there, it's Melissa Adelia Calisans, and I have to say it's so great to see Mr. Jeffrey Sargent there. We made a great connection years ago at one of my first SYTARs, and it was thanks to that that bond that we made at SYTAR that I felt less alone when I wound up pioneering a program in a clinical setting at the same time he was. And we didn't know anybody else who was pioneering our field on our own without any supervision. And he would call me for some mentoring, and then I would call him and ask, what are they doing over there with this? And it was really wonderful that we had met, because we never would have met otherwise had it not been for SYTAR, because he had been over in Maryland, I'm in Southern California. And I still, contact him every so often when I have a question about how he's transitioned during COVID and how he's transitioned out of clinical settings like I just recently did. So I felt very less alone, since I know a lot of us can feel very siloed when we are the pioneer in a certain structured environment that is, again, we are in the Wild West. And if it weren't for SYTAR, I wouldn't have had that relationship. I wouldn't have met Lori and a lot of other CIAYTs and up and coming CIAYTs. And so I think SYTAR was an incredible value add, not just to me personally and professionally, but also as a global community. So thank you so much for these opportunities too, for the virtual events, because these really help us feel less siloed, because people were coming to us, especially in the last 2 years, for all the support and care. And the last things we really want to do is burden our colleagues with it, but who else do you go to? So to be able to just meet each other like this for fun and to talk about meeting for an event was a delight. So thank you so much.
And I have to say that at one in LA, in one of the morning sessions, a woman rolled out her mat next to me, and we began to talk, as you just do at these things, because everybody's just so open and friendly. We realized we live a mile apart. And we have been now doing things with different groups here in the St. Louis area together because of that meeting on a mat in LA a number of years ago. So, you had friends, Melissa, that you met far apart. Here I met someone a mile apart from me, but in LA. So you never know who you're going to meet. And again, as Molly said, the relationships that I have made through IAYT is what keeps me moving and growing and just excited about what I do in life. So I just appreciate it.
And Sue, you mentioned something I don't think we touched on really, which is the morning practices, which is, it's really a special aspect of this conference. I really look forward to those because they are all taught by your peers and colleagues, and you always learn, you get your own chance to practice, but you always learn something you didn't expect to learn. So it's just, that's a wonderful aspect of the conference experience for me.
And Nancy has something, and then I want to speak to the virtual opportunities about that. So Nancy, do you have something?
I just wanted to share an experience. I am a CIYT, and prior to my job with IAYT, I was, trying to make it a go of it too, with my own private business. And so I knew what it was like. And there were several years where I convinced myself, I can't go. I don't have the money to do something like that. And you never know what connections you're going to make, because it could also lead to jobs. Prior to my attending a SYTAR event, I did go for a job interview, and they had asked me. It wasn't IAYT, but it was a school, and a member or an accredited school looking for a position. They asked me, did I ever attend any of the IAYT events, like their conferences? And I had to answer no. And then I made it a priority, if that was what some people were going to ask me, to start to attend those. And to save money, I shared rooms with people. I went to 2 prior to joining IAYT. And then when I went to interview for the job with IAYT, and they asked the question, have you ever attended any of our events? I was able to say I've been to 2 SYTARs and I loved them, and I made lots of good connections. So it's really not only that, but you're meeting a lot of people, you're learning a lot about different aspects of yoga therapy. So that was key. And we ask those questions if you're interested in any further first of all, it's a step into volunteering for IAYT in bigger roles. And we ask those kind of questions on both applications for staff positions and for volunteers. Have you been involved? Do you come to our conferences? That's not going to make or break it, but it's a plus if you have. So that's just my 2 cents.
So Kathy, I saw you had something to say, and I'll come back to you. But Justine had asked about virtual networking opportunities, since we've been concentrating here the last few minutes on how wonderful it is to see each other in person, which of course it is. We do have, it's just been added to the schedule, brown bag lunches with the board members. There'll be a couple board members each day, Friday and Saturday, and those will be meetings. And typically the virtual opportunities are webinars. So you're watching and you can chat to the host, but you don't get a chance to see each other like this. But in those networking opportunities, there'll be live meetings where you can see each other, we can talk to one another. And I encourage you also, if you have ideas about networking that you might like to suggest, pardon me, the allergies have got me today, that you have ideas that you might like to suggest to us for networking to support you during the conference, you can send them to contact us or comment on when you register. We'd love to hear about them and support you on the virtual side as well, since this is a new thing, doing both. So we want to do it right for you. So Melissa, let me just see if Kathy had anything. Kathy, you disappeared. I'm not sure if she's still there. Still there?
I'm still here. I'm just don't have the video on. Just a few things. If anybody's new and you want to be frugal, there are actually many times since 2008 where I had 2 other roommates getting a cot per the hotel. Sometimes the cot was free, sometimes it wasn't, and we always had a great experience. There was nothing an issue. Second, and I regret, I'll look it up, but I will submit it. There's a virtual meeting rooms, and I forget the name of the software, but we used it at the Screen Actors Guild, American Federation of Television Radio Artists National Convention last year, so it can take a large amount of people. And it was also used for a social media journalist gathering. And so I will email that to Deborah, and you could very well do that for free if it's under like 100 people. So
thanks, Kathy.
Maybe we could have some breakout rooms, like on a virtual breakout rooms. Thank you.
Thank you. Melissa?
One of the things I noticed is that you have those meetings for the schools, meetings of the schools, and then new CIAYTs. And then there's people like, again, had I not known Jeffrey Sargent or something like that, there's some people like us who have been working in the field for so long that we're actually just by ourselves all the time, that there's really no chance as a community unless it's for working or networking. It's like, I don't want to really network, but I would love to hear how other people are navigating their careers, especially like we're there responsible for large programs that we're creating, but we actually don't have anybody else to talk about it with, because I only know Jeffrey is the only other person who had to create a program, and one other person that was not from the master's program in Maryland or from Loyola. Like, we were pioneers. Well, Jeffrey was from that program, but I was a pioneer on my own, and I did not know who to reach out to since I've been on my own for almost 20 years. That I wish there was not just the meeting of the schools and not just the brand new people, but like the people like going, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? So help with that. Thanks.
Thank you, Melissa. That's definitely on the radar. And, I can say that one thing that I've done locally in my area is just try to reach out to local CIAYTs. You can search the directory on IAYT.org. And I just try to organize occasional meetups to get to know my peers, get to know what everyone's doing, how we're working in the area. But it's definitely on my radar that more interaction is needed for everybody and not just groups like schools and students and new CIYTs. So thank you.
I feel like I got to say something since Melissa's dropped my name a couple of times. Yeah. SYTARs, I've been to 2 of them, and yeah, Melissa did help like keep my sanity through COVID, as we bounced a lot of stuff off one another, because we both worked in hospital settings. And for those who don't know, I was working with the Army in a pain management center up in Madigan Army Medical Center for about 3.5, 4 years, working with active duty troops and all that. But yeah, it's invaluable, I thought, from a networking perspective. And then another thing that's been helpful with SYTAR was just meeting up with all my classmates from MUIH, because they always do like a gathering of all that. So for me, it's been a really kind of a recharge, if you will. And I don't think there's been a better time for a recharge than right now, actually, for most people.
So I see Carla had a question, I think, and I wonder if you would come off audio to ask it, because I'm not sure I understand what is the percentage of corporate CIAYT, and I think that might be the only thing we haven't really addressed.
Hi, thank you for taking my question. We worked hard these past dozen years or so to get insurance companies to recognize the profession, and I wondered if there had been any advancement. I always get these 2 conferences mixed up. One is research and one is more practice. And so I might be asking in the wrong venue, but has there been an increase in our presence throughout the hospitals and the military bases system? I know I personally work for the military base system, so I was just curious as to how we're doing in that. And do you ever have plans to take the conference somewhere exotic like the Pacific Islands? Thank you.
Ooh, I love that idea. Alyssa, what do you say? So I
Love
can,
that
I
too.
can,
Pacific Islands. Yes.
let's do it. Let's do it. So I can answer your question anecdotally. We haven't done a formal survey recently, but I'm in contact with a lot of different yoga therapists across a lot of different practice settings. And from my perspective, I've been editing the magazine since 2017, and there has been a steady increase in the number of yoga therapists who are working directly in hospitals, who are contracted in hospital settings and other clinical settings, and who are in military programs. The VA's whole health program has been a doorway for a lot of people. So anecdotally, those placements are really on the increase. And I do think we have some surveying coming up that will probably better capture where people are practicing, if that answers your question. But yeah, it's slow but steady, and slow from the perspective of the individual person, right? If we step back and look at the perspective of the profession, it's lightning speed. how fast we've been able to make inroads and make change. But as we're down here in the trenches, and Melissa's on her own, and Jeffrey's on his own, and then it can feel kind of slow and incremental. But it's really not. It's really not.
No, wonderful. Glad to hear it's on the increase, and it's progress. It's just progress, and I've been at it for 55 years, so I'm just glad to see that the whole industry is being recognized for the gift that it is to the health of humankind. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I know I asked the tough questions today, but I ask them because most of the time people will not ask the tough questions. So thank you very much. You were all wonderful giving this meeting so that we could get a heads up about what's going on. And many, many thanks, and I hope to see you at some future conference. Aloha.
Thank you, Carla.
Nancy, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I was just going to follow up on that question. On the recertification application, we ask a bunch of questions of our CIYT so that we can get a feel for where people are working, and we're just revising that question to make it easier to answer and easier for us to summarize the information. So work settings, where are you practicing or offering yoga therapy, will be a better question in this next round. We'll be implementing that this month. So please answer those questions. We're making them optional, but you'll find them on the recertification application. So you can do your profession a favor by answering those questions. Thank you.
We have one last question, maybe, Alyssa, before you close. Sarah has just joined us late, and she was asking about the educational aspects. Were they fairly generic, introductory, or in-depth? And I think that's something that, Lori, maybe you want to speak to, because we were careful about that this year, trying to make sure that submissions did offer the whole. No, go ahead.
Yeah, that's one of many great questions we've gotten this afternoon. If you go to the schedule page on the conference website, like Beth said, we really tried to make sure that we included a range of content that would be appropriate for yoga therapy students, beginning yoga therapists just starting into practice, as well as people who have been practicing for 50 years. Like Carla said, she's been at this. So I do think that Carla would find something of value right alongside the yoga therapy student. Now, it might not be the same session, so we did try to include on the afternoon session, so where it says concurrent tracks, you'll see a little note that says best for, and we tried to, best for those who have an interest in XYZ, and that's where we really tried to lay out who we think that session is going to be particularly valuable for. But you'll get some sense of that as well, just from the descriptions of the sessions as to who the session material is going to be most suited to. And again, the beauty of having it available in recorded form is that if it does go a little bit over your head, you can always pause it and come back, do a little more research and come back to it. And then if it turns out to be something that you're already familiar with, maybe you play it on 1.5 forward speed. Does anybody else do that, or is that just me?
No, I do that.
Okay. The pitches in the room are familiar with doing with that method.
Well, we're at the top of the hour and 1 minute past. So, what's up?
Yeah, no, same. Wow, just a really rich discussion. Thank you to everyone for bringing forth your ideas, your concerns, your questions, your kind of what's aspirational about our gathering, whether it's virtual or in person, in terms of what we can do together, and how we can pay special attention to that creatively as we prepare for just a wonderful gathering, whether it's virtually or in person. We welcome you, can't wait to be with you, and look forward to June 9th through 11th, SYTAR 2022. So we will see you all, hopefully, then, and many others who will be joining us in these categories of engagement keep your ideas coming. Like I think it was Deborah or Beth had mentioned, please have other things that come up, please go to contact us and let us know, or to another staff member. And let's keep this conversation alive as we prepare for this great event. So thanks again for your time, and everyone have a great weekend.